Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, today is the final day to get the ultimate raw vegan bundle, and the creator or the co-creator of the bundle is here to make one of the recipes for you from the new book that we wrote together. Her name is Lissa Maris. She is half of Raw Food Romance, and she is probably the most amazing raw chef I have ever met. She's the creator of all those wraps that took the world by storm, and she's going to make a wonderful recipe for you today. Please welcome her. Hi, Lissa. Are you tired on the last day of the bundle?
I am, oh my gosh. But it's so worth it to do this for people. And people love the bundle event, all the lives that we do, and all, the recipes that we do share, and the opportunity to get all of our brand new stuff, because the raw bundle is only brand new content. So that's a really cool thing that's different from other bundles, is that this bundle is only brand new stuff. So people don't have anything. If you've bought bundles before in the past, this is a totally different bundle. You don't have anything that's in this one, and it's all new. So including the new ebook that we wrote, the Make It Raw Volume 3, there's 47 recipes in there, and a lot of them are really unique ones, like the freezing and thawing of the chickpeas for certain recipes. We've got the blooming black forbidden rice in there too. So there's some pretty cool, awesome recipes in there. And I just want to give a shout out to the other co-creator, Chris Kendall from the Raw Advantage. He's done so much for this bundle, and he's inspired me so much in my recipe creation as well. Like, he originated the freezing thaw technique that we've been using to make some really awesome, cool recipes. Like even you with your, you freeze and thaw the cauliflower. We got to thank Chris for that, because he's definitely been so inspiring. And his new book, the Big Banana Book, it's all about bananas and different ways to use bananas, different recipes and the history and all that kind of stuff. So his book is in the bundle too. But yeah, I need a break. I've got a nice little staycation planned, and then I get to come visit you.
Oh man, we're gonna have some fun. I'll be forever grateful for Chris Kendall because he basically introduced us. So he's amazing.
He is. Yes. I'm so excited to come see you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, a lot going on this week. You were in the Raw Summit, or the Raw Vegan and Plant-Based Summit. You were kicked off day one, you and me, and you had the bundle. You are a busy girl.
I know. And I fuel myself on, the plants, right? The plants give me the energy, and to create and respond to everybody and make the videos and be live. And it's just, I just enjoy it so much.
I don't know. I don't know if this is I mean, I just had this idea, and you tell me if anybody would be interested, meaning anybody that's watching live now or anybody in your audience. You're going to be visiting me for like close to 48 hours. So you'll probably get there. I'm guessing. I don't know if you'll get there before dinner or after dinner Friday, but what if I just eat what you eat while you're here? I'll just be raw for, I'll be raw for with you. I'll just eat whatever you. I mean,
Yeah, hey, we would be more than happy to make you food, because that's like one of our absolute favorite
Yeah, I
things.
mean, and you can film it. And I mean, it's not that I'm opposed to it, like theoretically. It's just that, I would have to learn. Even though I went to Raw Culinary School, I would have to like relearn certain things, and I'd have to just change the way I'm doing things. And that old saying, no one likes change but a wet baby. But I know that we're going to be going to a restaurant twice. But what's great about this restaurant is we're going to be able to get raw for those meals.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll make you wraps. I'm going to bring you tons of wraps.
My God, should we videotape AJ being raw? Maybe I can go longer than that, because here's the thing. I told you I just got a juicer. I don't know how to use it, but I'm going to have, it's the TriBest. It's the knockoff of the one you like, because that one was too expensive. I'm going to have the CEO of the company come on the show next week, show me how to use it. I just got an electric spiralizer. So I've got some tools that would really help a person, be more raw or be raw.
Yeah, we are totally all in to help you eat more raw.
Right. So like, do you, I'm curious, because I'm going to really like watch you guys like hawks. And because we have a hawk, so I know what that means. I know where that saying came from. He literally just sits there and watches the little birds like a hawk. But do you like just eat at the same time every day, or do you just kind of wake up? Because whatever I'm doing now, I seem to get hungry always around noon and 5, and that's what I do, and it seems to work for me. But with raw, do you eat at a specific time, or do you go about your business in the morning and then wait until you're hungry, or how do you do that?
So for our days, usually we wake up and right away we'll eat some fruit. So it's usually a couple pieces of fruit, maybe 2 bananas or 3 mangoes or some nectarines, like the peaches and nectarines are starting to come in season. So we'll be like gorging on those, but we'll have maybe like 200 or 300 calories of just fresh fruit first thing in the morning. Like right when we get up, we'll drink our water, we'll have some fruit, and then we go for our exercise. So I find personally having a little bit of calories in my body in the morning helps me to have a better workout. It's, I just find it better. Like I can walk better, I just feel more vibrant having fruit first thing. Then as soon as we get home, we make our big smoothie, and that's like our major, like huge amount of calories. And it's like any kind of fruit you want. We do usually banana based with lots of other fruit and berries and whatever else we can do. We blend under vacuum. So we try to get roughly, each of us has like maybe 800 calories per smoothie. So before noon, we've already eaten 1,000 calories of fruit. And we don't really put like fats in our smoothies. Like we don't do chia or hemp usually. We try to save the fats for the savory meals. So we just keep our fruit to ourselves. So before lunch, we have 1,000 calories. Then lunch is a huge salad, usually, or a wrap. And it just depends on the day. And like you, we eat around noon and 5 as well. So it's like lunch and dinner. So it's typically the same, but we try to get most of our calories in before lunch. And so lunch is usually a low fat dressing, like a date-based dressing, a mango dressing, just like fruit and spices, little apple cider vinegar or lemon juice or what have you, because that's going to be the bulk of our calories. Because we know salads aren't that high in calorie, right? So you have to eat a huge amount of them. But when you put fruit in, it helps to bulk up the calories, so you're not as hungry like an hour after salad. So having lots of fruit, and we'll make you some dressings so that you can try some different ones that we have. So that's our lunch usually, either like I said, salad or wrap. Because the wraps are really easy. They're super awesome. You just take it out of the fridge and you're good to go if you make them the day before. Then if we are hungry between lunch and dinner, which usually doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. If we are hungry, we snack on fruit. So we'll just come in the kitchen and have a couple bananas or chop up an apple or whatever. We'll have like 1 or 2 pieces of fruit between lunch and dinner.
I just worry that I'm just not that into the sweet taste, and fruit is so sweet. I just don't want to be eating sweet things all the time. I like savory better.
Yeah, and I'm a savory girl too. So I'm all about the savory, but I find that having the sweet in the dressing can still be savory.
No, the dressing sounds great, but I mean snacking on fruit or even eating a fruit meal, that doesn't appeal to me. I'd rather eat a vegetable meal, to be honest, but it's just too low in calorie density.
You can. It is too low in calorie density. Sometimes, like I'm running low on tomatoes. We usually have like a huge pile of them, but I usually get like the little cherry tomatoes, and I'll snack on those between lunch and dinner. That's typically what I like to snack on. So that could be an option. You could slice up cucumber, maybe have a little bit of sprouted hummus that's made low fat. You could do that because we have 2 sprouted hummus recipes in the Make It Raw Volume 3 ebook that's in the bundle. So you could make those sprouted hummus, and you could have a little bit of hummus with some veggies or what have you as a snack. Only if you're hungry though. I mean, our lunch, like the wraps are so filling that they fill us right up to dinner. And usually we have such a big salad that we're pretty full until dinner. And then dinner is usually our darker leafy green salad with more like root veggies, and there's way more variety in it as well. Like we try to add sprouts, microgreens, like we put like grated beets and carrots and kale, and so like it's a lot more dark veggies and more hearty, a little heavier. And then that's where we put our fat dressings. So if we're gonna have like a cashew based or almond or tahini or something like that, that's typically where we have that dressing, is on that dinner salad. So it's like a super savory, nice big dinner. Or we just have wraps again, or we make raw burgers, or we make
Yeah, oh
tacos.
my God. See, that's the stuff I like, the raw burgers, the raw pizza, the tacos. Do you ever chop your salad just so it's a little bit easier to eat for people with like chewing kind of issues?
Yeah, we actually really like to thinly shred our romaine. That's how I personally prefer it. I feel like the dressing just gets in there when it's like really chopped really fine. So I do like to chop it really fine. But yeah, that's a great option. Like those bowls that you and Tammy have, that you have the moon knife that you can chop it really fine. That really helps to chew and digest food, because you're taking away some of the steps of chewing. So that's helpful too.
Well, I am so excited to have you here. I think we should do like a Truman style and just video, like have the camera running on us 24 hours.
I think that'll be super fun. Yeah, I'm totally gonna film as much as I possibly can, and we want to make you meals because we love you and
Yeah.
we're excited to share.
I don't know if Charles, I mean, Charles will eat it, but I don't know if he'll do it. But I'm willing to commit. You tell me, if I should just do it on Friday too, or if I don't know what time you're coming. So but I can try. Hey, I've done, look, if I could do a water fast, I can eat raw food. I mean, come on. That's harder.
But we're gonna make you tacos.
Oh my
So
God, tacos. I love tacos.
yes, so
Nachos are my favorite food in the whole world.
oh nice. Yeah, and you can have raw nachos too.
Oh my
So
God. Can I have you? I mean, we almost moved to Vegas. And if I had known you then, I mean, we would have chosen Vegas, I'll tell you. I just didn't know you at the time. You're,
right.
you're the draw. Wow.
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we will make you some yum stuff, and we'll help teach you. And if you want, like, I think we're gonna leave Friday morning probably around, like, if we can leave at like 8 o'clock in the morning, we might get there around like noon
Oh,
to 3 in there. It depends on how early we leave, but it's only like a 5 hour drive. So
well, okay. So maybe I can just wake up that day and just like have a smoothie or I don't eat until noon anyway. Maybe we should just film the whole thing and then, sell it as a course. Like you too can go raw. If Chef AJ can do it, who loves her potatoes, so can you. It's interesting that you're going to be using things like rice and beans because I think a lot of people think that's completely off the table for somebody that's raw.
yeah, so that's a great statement there. This is the black forbidden rice. So I've tried to bloom quite a few different types of rice, and this is the one that blooms the easiest. All you have to do is soak it in water for 72 hours. That's it. It's super easy to make this rice. And what I do is I pour the rice into the jar, fill it all the way up with water. And I usually do like maybe a half a cup of rice in like a regular sized mason jar. Not this one. This is a big one. This is freeze dried. I'll talk about it in a second. But put like a half a cup of this black forbidden rice at the bottom of the jar, fill it with water, and then mix it so all the air bubbles release. And then just leave it for 72 hours on the counter or in the fridge. And I just leave it on the counter. And then in 72 hours, you've got black forbidden rice. Once it's bloomed, you can put it in the fridge. It lasts like probably about 4 days or so, and you just scoop out a bunch and put it in your salad or make a recipe just like what we're going to make today. So there's that. And then there's the lentils. So we do sprouted lentils of all kinds. We have like at least 6 different kinds of lentils that we like to sprout. Mung beans, we've got peas that we like to sprout, black-eyed peas, adzuki beans, and chickpeas. And so these are in the Make It Raw Volume 3 ebook, where we have like the Lebanese lentil soup in there. And then we've got like the chickpea biryani, we've got chana masala. We have lots of different recipes that can be made raw by sprouting the lentils and the chickpeas. And then once they're sprouted, then you freeze them. And so like we learned from Chris Kendall, when you freeze it, it softens. So when you thaw it, it's so much better texture, and it's not as bitter as the raw version. I mean, it's still raw because freezing is a raw culinary technique. So they just have such a better texture, and you can add them to salads. You can make raw hummus with them. But that's why I love this ebook, because it kind of bridges the worlds, because I believe that legumes can be very, very beneficial to people, you know, with the blue zones eating a lot of them, and I didn't want to leave them out of my raw diet, so just found a way to do it raw.
Nice. Well, it looks delicious.
Yeah, so I wanted to really quickly chat about the freeze-dried rice, because in the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle that ends today, we have our travel ebook in there. It's called Tales from the Tailgate. It's a 277-page ebook, all about how Nate and I travel and camp and hike and backpack and go on adventures and air travel and resorts and everything as raw vegans. So how do we do it? How do we make it happen? And we share stories in there about, you know, how we started with a cooler with ice, how we graduated to the electric cooler, and now we have the solar power generator, which Nate's probably going to show you when we go see you, because he's super proud of it. But we have a section in there about freeze-dried food for those who have a freeze dryer. There is a section with freeze dryer recipes so that you can make things to take with you backpacking that are really lightweight, and it's really great for food storage and food prep if you are a raw vegan or want more healthy raw options for your food storage. You can make cold soaks, which is basically just freeze-dried and dehydrated ingredients mixed together with spices that you can just add water to, and then you have a raw meal. So this is a freeze-dried rice. This is basically the bloomed rice, but freeze-dried, and it has the texture of like popcorn when you eat it. It's super cool.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So, and another way that you can do it too, like what we do is we buy like big bags of the black forbidden rice and we soak it all for the 72 hours. And then we lay it out on the freeze dryer trays and we freeze dry it. And then whenever we want rice at that moment, because, you know, it takes 72 hours to make it. So you have to plan 3 days in advance if you want the rice. You can just take this and add water and you've got instant sprouted raw black forbidden rice if you do the freeze-dried method, which is pretty sweet.
Cool. When you get a chance, talk about some of the other things that are in the bundle so people can know it's not just your amazing book, which is going to be amazing for them, but also some of the other amazing things that you've noticed.
Yeah, so this bundle is really super cool. And like I mentioned earlier, every single thing is brand new. So all the creators that are part of this bundle all made something brand new for this bundle. We've got Raw Chef Yin, who contributed her Korean barbecue course. And I made everything from her course and had my own little Korean barbecue feast. That was so delicious. Highly recommended that. And as I mentioned, Chris Kendall has his big banana book in there. Daniel McKinnon has his edible art. So he's got like burgers. He has this really cool recipe for riceless spring rolls, or like the summer rolls, like, you know, the rice papers.
Yeah.
Got a recipe to make those, but without using rice. It's Irish moss and aloe vera gel.
Wow.
It's a really cool recipe. And then he has a pizza in there. He's got his raw hot dogs and stuff. And then there's Kevin Black, who's new to the raw bundle. He made an ebook called For the Love of Tacos, and his tacos are soft tacos. And he has, you know, 10 different tacos. I made the breakfast tacos and the Korean cauliflower tacos, which were both super delicious. And there's quite a few smoothie books in there. There's Fruithies by Debbie Adler. There's The Art of Smoothie Bowls by Wendy. There's the Dr. Rick and Karen Dina contributed their Powerhouse Smoothies ebook to the bundle. There's Green Smoothies for Everyone by Susanna. And there's 5 moms who contributed to this book as this bundle as well. Actually 6 or more moms. Rennie and Jesse, they have their Cravings Buster ebook. Then we've got Kate Duma. She has her Spreads and Breads book that's like geared towards kids. We have Alana, who has a coloring book that has like family activities and coloring pages that you can print off that helps inspire kids to eat more raw. Then there's Lexi, who has her Raw Mama journey. She just had a baby. There's Darlene has her bounce back. She just had a baby. Wendy just had a baby. So like there's a lot of moms in this bundle. So which is nice because it's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mamas out there. But yeah, it's quite an awesome bundle this year. And next year it'll be totally different because every year we make new content for it. So if people like it, go grab it because today's the last day.
Nice. Well, we're mothers. We're fur baby mothers, but we're still mothers.
Yes, and I'm a stepmom, which is pretty cool to think about. Like I had two of my friends were like, "Happy Mother's Day," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess I would be like." It was so strange to me because I don't have any kids of my own, but I do have stepkids, Nate's boys, and so it's kind of like interesting to be like, "Ah, I guess I do fit into that category." I don't really think about it, but it's really nice to be a stepmama. But fur babies for sure. Yeah, Bailey and Raja and Jai, they all have some great mamas.
Hey, who's gonna watch them when you're visiting me?
So they do okay by themselves because they have each other. We've left them, the longest that we'll leave them is 5 nights, which is what we're going to be gone for when we visit you. But we have little cameras so we can watch them. And if anything looks out of the ordinary, we have our friend Angelica, who's also in the bundle. She has her Yoga Made Easy course. We can always call Angelica and she can come over and check on them if we need her to. So yeah, but they should do fine.
They don't mind. They don't mind not having any humans checking on them for 5 days.
Yeah, they do pretty good. And when we get home, they aren't super whiny, but you can tell they did miss us. But it's pretty much back to routine pretty fast. I do a couple things that help. I have like these cat pheromone air fresheners that we plug in, so they have like a comforting, calming pheromone smell in the house. So and we put it at the front door where they usually sit when we're gone, like on our cameras, like they usually sit at the front door waiting for us. So we put the pheromones there so they are calmer. I also put Bach Rescue Remedy in their water bowls when we leave, just to help them with their anxiety if they have any. But they have each other and they sleep all day and they do pretty good.
So you just leave all the food out for them? Like they can monitor that? Like if I can't, like, because some pets would just eat it all. So, or does it come out in a timer?
We don't have the timer, but we've been kind of contemplating that. The only thing I'm worried about is if the timer doesn't work, like if it stops working while we're gone, and then it's like they don't have any food. But we just leave them out big bowls. Like I count, and I know Raja, one of our cats, does like to eat a lot more than Jai does. And there's been a couple times where we've come home and there's no more food left. But we always count the scoops based on the amount of days that we're going to be gone. So they tend to do okay. And we have like 5 water dishes. We've got 4 litter boxes that we leave out for them. And they do just fine. They're pretty good. They're really well-behaved cats. So we are pretty blessed.
Wow. Okay, great. Maybe get a Winnebago and just start taking them with.
You know what? That is on our big list of dreams. Nate is really excited because that's one of our goals. We want to get like a giant motorhome so that we can have the cats in there, and we want to like travel around the US and like go visit people from all over the country, maybe do some talks in places or what have you, and then do like raw on the road, just like traveling, enjoying, not to live in our camper, but just to like travel and go see stuff and take our cats with us because we want them with us. I don't want to leave them for a month.
I know.
Oh,
I don't even like leaving Bailey for a couple hours to go to the movies,
I know. I know. I'm just like, I
I know they're so wonderful. So
love you.
bloomin' rice, bloomin' rice. It's bloomin', everyone.
It's blooming. Okay, so let's chat about this. So these have been, they were bloomed for 3 days, 72 hours. And I started these. All I do, like, this is a great tip for people who are trying to meal prep or plan, or they're like, oh, I want to make that recipe. What I like to do is I like to read through the recipe, the entire recipe, to make sure I know what's going on and what I'm going to need to do. And if I have to do anything days before, I just enter in my phone a notification either in my calendar or an alarm in my phone or something like that to remind me to either soak the cashews or soak the chickpeas or bloom the rice. That way I know what I need to do before the recipe. And it's easy. Like 3 days ago, I just put them in a jar with water and I left it. So it wasn't like it was, you know, I'm watching it for 3 days, but that's the right. And then the night before, last night, I chopped up the carrots and the onions and I put them in the freezer. So the reason doing that is, again, learned from Chris Kendall, when you freeze harder vegetables, when you thaw them, they have the texture like an al dente steamed vegetable, which is really nice when you're doing raw dishes. So we have a 1/4 cup of onion here that we chopped last night, and we have about roughly 1/2 cup of carrots that we cubed up and we froze them, and I just thawed them. So I'm going to just dump those into our bowl here. Then we have a few other ingredients that we're going to add. We've got some cilantro that I'm going to chop up here. And we'll put that in there. I'm going to leave a few for the top, just for the topping, but we'll put some cilantro in there. And then we've got the green onion. And this is a pretty easy recipe. Like, aside from doing the chopping the night before and the blooming of the rice, which are both really easy. It took me like 5 minutes to chop those last night. So it was like super easy. It's just remembering to do the things, right? It doesn't take that much time. And then just chopping a few things at mealtime, which I always love doing our lives at 11, because I'm like, oh, now I have lunch.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's great. So here we go. We've got our chopped green onions. And of course, you can play around with this recipe too. Like if you wanted to put corn in there, you could, or bell pepper or what have you. It's totally up to you. So we've got some tomatoes that we're going to add to this. And you could dice them small, like finer if you want. I'm just going to make them chunks just to make it easier. So I got 3 of these little tomatoes. The recipe calls for 2 Roma, but the store didn't have any Romas when I went, so I used the regular little Campari, so I did 3 of those. And then, last but not least, we have jalapeño. I'm only going to put half in this one. So you can take the seeds out if you don't want it to be as hot and spicy. Just take the seeds and the pith out. And then don't touch your eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because that's not very fun. Or you could chop this with a glove if you wanted to, just to protect yourself. And no matter how many times you wash your hands, it's like, yeah, you have to be careful. All right, so this is the salad portion of the recipe, and that's how easy it is. It really doesn't take a lot of time to make things, and that's another thing that people will say. They'll be like, oh, well, doesn't it take a lot of time to eat raw? Honestly, it depends on what you make, and just like with any diet, there's super simple things and there's more intricate, complicated things. It really depends on what you want to make, what kind of time you have, how you plan. But this recipe is one of the easier ones to do, and it's quite filling. So here we have our salad. Now we just have to make the dressing. So for the dressing, we don't need a blender. You could blend this if you wanted to, but I'm just going to mash it. So this recipe makes 2 servings. So if you wanted to do half, you could always do that too. So here we go. We've got avocado. We'll just squeeze in here. Like I said, because it's a 2-serving meal, you're only having like half of an avocado per person for this recipe, which is kind of nice. Then we have our lemon juice. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons, but you could always put a little bit more in there if you like it more lemony, or you could use lime if you want.
Ooh, lime. I love lime.
Yeah, you could totally use lime. You could even use orange juice if you wanted. It's totally up to you. There we go. So usually about 2 tablespoons is the juice of 1 lemon. And most recipes are pretty lenient when it comes to, you know, what you put in the dressings. Sometimes you can add a little bit more if you like it a little more lemony, or you could add less if you don't want it to be as lemony. But if you do add less lemon juice or lime juice, you might need to add a little extra water to this to get it to mash. And then you just mash up the avocado. With that lemon juice, and then we add the rest of the ingredients. So we've got miso. Ooh, I need actually, I'll just mince this garlic. So we've got some garlic here. You could grate it or mince it however you like. I usually mince it, but I see my mincer is in the sink.
Hey, I've got some questions from some viewers on Instagram, if you don't mind. One is from Bernadette, and she says, do you find eating fruit only first thing in the morning bad for people with diabetes?
Oh, good question. Good question. So I'm friends with Robbie Barbaro, and he runs Mastering Diabetes. And I learned from him specifically that it's not the fruit that's the problem. It's the amount of fat that you're consuming in your diet that is kind of the, you know, the root cause of the insulin resistance when it comes to dietary fat intake. So we are able to eat a lot of fruit and not have issues with our blood sugar, because I had pre-diabetic symptoms before I went raw about 10 years ago. I had all the symptoms and I was scared to go to the doctor because I was scared that I was on the road to diabetes. And I was scared of eating a lot of fruit too, because of how we are indoctrinated to believe that fruit is bad. But fruit in its whole form, the way nature made it, loaded with the water and the fiber and the vitamins and minerals, is 100% different than the processed sugars, right? The refined stuff and everything. So we need to separate the two because they're not the same. And when you're eating whole fruit, the sugar is released a lot slower into the bloodstream as compared to the processed sugar. But also, if you're eating high fat, you're eating a lot of oils, you're eating animal products, you're eating processed foods that are high in fat, that is what's actually causing the insulin resistance in your body. So when you do eat the fruit, your insulin isn't working well because fat is blocking the receptors that insulin needs to get sugar into your cells. So then you get a crash and, you know, your insulin is all over the place and it's not working properly, it's resistant and all this stuff. So it's actually fat that's a problem. And I had this like little analogy that I used to say like years ago. And I would be like, okay, so you have a crime scene, and at the crime scene, both fruit and fat were at the crime scene. But fat managed to run away, and it was actually fat's fault that caused the, you know, the crime. Fat runs away and gets away with it. But when the cops come, they see sugar at the scene and they're like, oh, it must be Sugar's fault. And Sugar's like, no, 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 I was just here. It wasn't me, it was fat. But, you know, like they don't see fat anywhere. So they're like, no, it's Sugar, it's Sugar. And so they take Sugar, they put Sugar on trial, they blame Sugar for everything that happened. But Sugar's like, no, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And then Fat's just sitting there looking, watching, you know, everything happen, is like, haha, I got away with it. So that's kind of the analogy that I like to say, because it's actually not sugar that's the problem. It's the high fat and the oils and the animal products and all that that's in the diet. So when people tend to blame sugar, it's a little bit misguided, because even though sugar is present, and obviously I'm not talking about processed sugar because that's bad to be consuming all that processed sugar. But when it comes to fruit, it's not fruit's fault. So I personally don't worry about it. If somebody's concerned, I would suggest checking out Mastering Diabetes or doing more research on, you know, doctors who talk about diabetes and learn more about how fat causes insulin resistance. And even also, I learned from Dr. Rick and Karen Dina that protein actually can spike your insulin as well. So people who are on a really high animal protein diet are actually making their insulin resistant as well, but you can't see it in a blood test for the blood sugars because they're not eating any sugar, but it's still spiking their insulin. And the test you want to really do is the blood glucose tolerance test, because that is really going to determine if you're able to deal with the sugar or not. So yeah, long answer.
That's great. There's another question on Instagram from, well, it's a comment first from Carol. I made my first batch of wraps and they came out great. They are pretty foolproof if people just follow your recipe exactly. And Ovidia says, on a raw diet, how do you calculate your calories regarding even your wraps?
Oh, so the easiest way to do that is to just take all the ingredients and put them into an app like Chronometer. So I listed the grams because you can you can list it by grams in the Chronometer app. So you just take all the ingredients and put them into Chronometer, and it'll give you a readout of what's in the wraps, like nutritionally and calorically. But I just use chronometer.com. You could use MyFitnessPal or any other tracking app, and just enter, you know, the raw ingredients that you're eating. Like 2 cups of black rice, 3 tomatoes, 1 carrot, quarter of an onion, 1 avocado. You know, like you could just enter those ingredients in, and then it'll give you the readout of it. And in the beginning, in the early days, it was so helpful to me to use Chronometer, because I really got to learn about the food that I was putting in my body. I had no idea that a head of romaine lettuce had omega-3 in it, because it's not something you're taught, but you do learn these things when you start entering them into your Chronometer. And then you learn about the food and you're like, oh, this has a lot of calcium, or I got a lot of iron this day. I wonder what that was. And then you just tap on iron and it gives you your top 10 sources of iron as well. So I do recommend it as a way for people to learn about what they're putting in their food. Like, you don't have to do it for life, but it's a great way to learn. So yeah. Now we have the spices that I want to add to this. I added a teaspoon or so of miso to here, and now I'm going to add some tomato powder. I'm just kind of winging this one because I don't have my tablespoon with me, but we're going to put about a tablespoon of tomato powder to this. Then we're going to do smoked paprika, which is one of my favorite spices of all time. We're going to do about a tablespoon as well, or you could do less. I always recommend people start with less of the spices, or start with half. So you can always add more, but you can't take away. So if it's too spicy, you know, you can't take away. But then if it's not spicy enough, you can always add more. So there's that. We got 1 teaspoon of chili powder.
And by the way, the recipe is written in the show notes, but you can only see it on YouTube because this is a YouTube show. Is powdered date sugar or date syrup okay? Okay for what?
Yeah, okay on a raw diet, you bet. Date sugar from the date lady. This is one of my favorite ingredients that I've been using a little bit more lately. It's just dried grape dates. That's all it is. So it's a really great ingredient to add. Raw Chef Yin uses it in some of her sauces. So if you're looking for a sauce that's not so bulky with like the actual, like the hydration from the dates themselves, you can use date sugar or date syrup in place of maple syrup. And I have links in the ebook as well when I suggest using date sugar. I think I have a couple recipes where I suggest it, because it is a really awesome ingredient, and I think it's totally cool.
I hope you're using the Chef AJ discount when you buy it.
I need to know that. You'll have to text me that, because I just get it.
God, I've had it for years before anybody knew she was. Yeah.
Nice. Yes, I will need to use your discount now next time, because I'm running low. I'm getting low. I'm gonna need to buy more.
Yep.
Nice, nice. Okay, so I put a half teaspoon of cumin in there, and now half teaspoon of oregano, and then black pepper, and then we can mix it up. So there's other questions.
Let me look. Tracy wants to know, does anyone know how long fresh shredded red cabbage will last in the refrigerator?
Yeah, for me and Nate, I would say it's, you know, shredded. The thing is, if you put the whole cabbage in the fridge, that thing's gonna last you weeks, probably. Like we've had cabbage in the fridge. Sometimes it gets stuck in the back and we're like, oh yeah, here it is. Just peel off the outer layers of the leaves and it's totally fine. Once you cut vegetables, you expose more of the area to air, which makes more oxidation, which makes them go bad faster. So if you finally shred cabbage, you're exposing so much of it to air and it goes bad a lot faster. We will shred cabbage if we're going like on travel trips or whatever, we want to pre-shred some stuff, but it usually only lasts like 4, maybe 5 days after because once it gets exposed to the air, you only have a couple days. All right. So once you get all the spices in your bowl, then you just mix it up. You can always add some water if you want to this as well, if you need to get it a little bit thinner.
Those spice jars you have are very large. Where do you get them?
This is McCormick. And you can get these I've seen them at Costco. We get them off Amazon. This one here we got from Grocery Outlet. It was super cheap. It was on sale, so we got that. This one we get from Harmony House. It's the company that we get a lot of our freeze-dried ingredients. Like if we don't want to freeze dry, for example, corn or apples or bananas or whatever. Harmony House has a lot of different freeze dry options, but I also shared in our Tales from the Tailgate ebook that you can get in the bundle, loads of links to companies that we've used to buy the freeze dried ingredients. So if you don't have a freeze dryer, you can still make freeze dried recipes, but you just got to buy the ingredients separately. All right. Then next step, we just add the avocado deliciousness to our rice and veg. Like so. Woo. And I usually do this with my hand. I just get right in there because, you know, it's for me and I don't mind. But I'm just going to mix this here, mix it up. Just like so. And that's that pretty much. It's like a super easy meal.
Looks delicious.
Oh yes, this is one of my favorites. I'm really excited for lunch today because I'm like, ooh, it's funny because like on the shows, I'm always like, what do we want to eat for lunch today? Because we're making it. So sometimes the Chef AJ lives that we do is really because we want to have that for lunch.
Okay, yum, yum, yum. So what time do they have to get the bundle? Is it midnight Pacific time? Is it 11:59 p.m. Pacific time?
It's 11:59 p.m. PST. I'm going to need to stay up late again tonight, which is okay because I'm going to have a staycation after this and I'm going to go to bed early every single night before I come see you.
That is great. How many different books are in the bundle?
There's 33 different ebooks in this raw bundle. So it's not like a huge bundle, but you know, each bundle is kind of its own awesomeness. Every bundle has its own collection of things. And because this bundle is only brand new products, you know, the creators take all year to make their products. And we all launch them together all at the same time in this bundle. So yeah, 33 items this year in the raw bundle, ends at midnight. Let's get this into our nice pretty presentation bowl. Woo-hoo-hoo. And again, this recipe feeds 2, but I'm probably gonna eat the whole thing. All right, look at that. Yay. Add a little cilantro to the top and we're good to go.
That looks, you make food look so delicious.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, such a flair. Well, thank you, Lisa, and congratulations on another great ebook. You guys can buy the book without buying the bundle, but it's only going to be $3 less. And so why not get all the other 32 books, I say?
Exactly. I agree totally. It's like get the bundle because you're getting so much more content than if you were to just get the books separately. So, but I mean, you can, but yeah, I agree with you. Get the bundle.
Doesn't seem like as good of a deal. Let's just check if there's any last questions. So, oh, is the rice soft like cooked rice?
Yeah, it's like al dente cooked rice. Actually, the freeze-dried rice is even softer than just the straight soaked rice because it's been frozen in the freeze drying process. So when you rehydrate this one, it's even softer, which is why we like to put it in our cold soak travel meals. But yeah, it's softer. It's like an al dente rice. And last night I made the forbidden black rice burger patties that you can get the recipe in the bundle as well from the Edible Art ebook. Those burger patties were so good.
Can any grain be eaten on a raw food diet if you do whatever process you did to make this one edible? Like I guess it's called soaking and sprouting.
Yeah, these ones for this specific rice, it's they say it's called blooming, because it's not necessarily sprouting. It's just like exposing the insides as it absorbs water. So it's softer to chew, it's easier to digest, and it's considered raw in raw culinary to use sprouted black forbidden rice. Um, like I said earlier in the video, I have tried other rices, like wild rice and brown rice, and some people say it works for them. I've never had good results with it. Some people will run it through a food processor before they soak it to kind of like nick it, like cut the edges so the water can absorb a little bit better. You could even soak under vacuum. If you have a vacuum seal lid, you could soak under vacuum because it forces the water further into the grains. But the only other ones that I think that could be eaten raw that I have in the past, I've done sprouted quinoa before and sprouted buckwheat, but those two I'm not a fan of. I don't really like them. They're just not things that I have in my diet. So not saying that they're bad. Like if people want to add a cup of cooked quinoa to their salad, at least they're eating a huge salad and they're eating lots of variety, right? And it's plant-based. So I mean, you gotta do what works with you and your flavor profile preferences. And like I said, I'm not anti-cooked food. I just prefer to eat raw. So that's why I choose it.
Nice. Well, thank you. If I could look and feel and act like you, then I'll do it too. I'm gonna try it for the day. Oh, that,
Look at
that
that.
looks so good.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. And it's like you know what, the secret ingredient really is the tomato powder. Woo! It makes it like super next.
You've got to try some of my spices while you're here, or maybe we should just go to local spicery, you know?
I would love to. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's not too far, Marysville. So yeah. Or maybe I can oh gosh, maybe he can come to the potluck. Hey guys, if you want to meet Lisa in person, hold on, why didn't I announce this? So I can't give you private addresses on social media, but if you join my meetup group, which is Healthy Living in Lincoln with Chef AJ, we're going to be having at least 2 meetups that are open to the people in the meetup group. And you can meet Lisa and Nate. And one of them is at that private, really gorgeous residence. And maybe Nick will be at that one. He can bring all his spices for you to try because he's got like pepperoni spice, bacon spice, and of course there's no animal products. It's just wonderful seasonings.
I know. You did send me that bacon one and we used it up already. So
Oh my God. Well, if anybody could do raw bacon, it's you. So thanks so much, Lisa. This was great.
thank you. Always thank you. You're so amazing. And I just love you so much. I can't
Oh my
wait.
God. Right back at you. I just wish I could eat that right now. Now it's just, that looks much better than my sweet potato and broccoli, which I'm going to have, but I'll still enjoy it. Thinking of you the whole time.
Yeah,
All right.
maybe we can make this. We'll see. We'll see
All
what
right.
we might.
Well, thank you, Lissa, and thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Come back in about an hour, 1 p.m. On Other of Mother's Day, I'm going to show you the best thing I ever ate. It's top secret, so come back at 1, and then come back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time for Lauren Bernick with Plant-Based Classics. She's going to be making eggplant parmesan. Lissa, have you ever done a raw eggplant parmesan?
I have not, but that stimulates some thought in my mind. I have made eggplant bacon before, so I think I could maybe play around with some ideas.
Well, because you have a regular slot on Chef AJ Live. It's called Feeling Great with Lissa and Nate. Maybe we can put in a request for a raw eggplant parmesan.
Yes, maybe we should. I'm gonna get thinking about that one.
All right. Thanks so much, Lissa. Thanks all of you, and happy Mother's Day to everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.